Hi everyone! So it's been exactly a year since I've been able to make a video saying I have some product. I have a really beautiful new launch coming, and I think when I made that video a year ago, when I think back, little did we know what was coming. But hopefully I am bringing into this grey and dark time an explosion of colour. So the first thing to say is that all of the original True Velvet lipsticks are now back in stock. So that's all of the shades that launched this time last year are back. And I know that I've had so many messages consistently throughout this whole year asking when they're coming back, and I was trying to get them back for September. I'm a little bit late, so they are finally back in stock. And if you haven't tried the True Velvet lipsticks before, it is, how to describe it, it's a revolutionary matte lipstick that isn't really matte. It's incredibly creamy, but also incredibly saturated. I think I'd describe it almost as like a pastel crayon. It has that much pigment in it. Like when you're using oil pastels, and you get that incredible creamy, intense color. And the finish it's matte and graphic, but it has a slight sheen to it as well. And then on the surface of the bullet, there's a rather extraordinary velvet appearance, which is, it's not an after effect, it's not a spray, it's actually a mold. So they are created like little mini sculptures to look as if they are velvet, which obviously doesn't add anything to how it looks on your lips. But for me, it just adds an extra layer of something which is just so beautiful to look at. So they feel amazing on the lips. They're non-drying, and I've had so many DMs coming in throughout this awful period that we're in at the moment of people showing me them in a mask, taking videos, taking their mask off and showing me their True Velvet lipstick underneath, because they're very, very long lasting. So of all the lipsticks that you could probably wear now, I can guarantee that if you wear a True Velvet, it's going to stay on your lips. So just to recap on the original shades, starting with Velvet Ribbon, and this is the classic true red. This is the classic pillar box red with a blue undertone. So it almost has a saturated Technicolor look to it. It kind of pops. The next one is Velvet Morning, and this is it's a real firecracker of an orangey red. And Velvet Jazz, which is the 1930s inspired one from my vintage collection, which is more of a deep red. And this is quite an interesting shade as well, because it has a mixture of warm and cool undertones, so it's quite a chameleon shade. Next we have the beautiful Velvet Fawn, and this is a beige cafe shade. It was inspired by the 90s supermodel shades, but it does have a mixture of warm and cool, quite lively undertones. So it's not one of those dead sort of beigey shades. It definitely has some life to it. So it's flattering across a lot of skin tones. Then we have Velvet Muse, and this is an impeccable smoky rosewood shade, which suits, again, so many people. And I think I've had so many requests for these two, so I'm happy to finally bring them back. Another favorite is Velvet Decade, and this is one of those shades that if you have a deeper skin tone, it's like the perfect nude. If you have a lighter skin tone, it's like a burnt chocolate. And it was inspired by sepia tinted photographs, so it's quite cool in the undertones, but it's definitely a burnt chocolate shade. Also back from last year is Velvet Beauty, a new wave vibrant rose pink. And this has blue undertones, which really lends it this fresh innocence. It's a very pretty and enlivening shade of pink. Next we have Velvet Myth, which is a wildly vivid mulberry. And this really it gives your lips the intense stain of if you'd been eating very bright berries. And it's one of those shades that if you're just feeling tired and you pop this on your lips, everything is just Boom. And then finally, Velvet Midnight, which is a devastatingly dark black currant shade. And this is my Thedabara, my silent movie star shade. Okay, so we have the 4 new shades of the True Velvets this year before we get on to some brand new products, which is also very exciting. So first up is Velvet Affair, and this is the most beautiful, earthy, soft caramel shade. It's such an easygoing colour, and if you love Velvet Fawn and Velvet Muse, but you want something also which is more on the warm golden side of brown, then you are going to love this shade. It's just the most delicious, sticky toffee colour. So the next shade is Velvet Blush, and I don't even know how to describe this colour because this is a colour that I've seen in paintings for years, in portraiture, in lots of my favourite artists have used this shade, and I've always been trying to describe it and trying to achieve it by mixing lipsticks that I own together, because it's a cool toned, it's not a berry, it's not a pink, it's a flush. And it's a colour that I've always wanted to recreate because I think it's so ultimately feminine and beautiful, and there's just a gorgeousness about this feeling of this flushed mouth that I've always been obsessed with. So that is Velvet Blush. So next up is Velvet Dragon, and this was me wanting to create another red, but wanting to try and put into lipstick a very unusual red that I like, which is the red of Chinese lacquering. And this was achieved, or is achieved, by using cinnabar, which is mercury sulfide. Interestingly enough, mercury sulfide was also used for thousands of years to create makeup as well. So if you think about Renaissance makeup and things like that, they were using that, which is incredibly poisonous and shouldn't be used as makeup. But the colour of cinnabar is a very warm, soft red. It's a very muted red. So unlike my other reds, which are very bold, this is almost like a burnt browny yellow red, if that makes sense. And I just think it's such an unusual colour, and I just really love how muted it is. Next up is Velvet Carnival, and this is a pop art pink that wears its party girl heart on its sleeve. This is an acid fuchsia with attitude. Inspired by the Warhol screen prints, this is a blue-toned, vibrant, electric pink that is ultimately contemporary and modern, and it's not for the faint-hearted, this one. So what's new for this drop? I sent out a newsletter about a week ago, and some of you guessed correctly. I have really amazing lip liners and some high pigment treatment glosses. So the first new product is Gloss Embrace, and I wanted to call it Gloss Embrace because I wanted to make a deeply nourishing lip treatment, but also give it that really vinyl, lucent shine. So it's definitely makeup, but it stays incredibly nourishing and moisturizing on the lips in the same way that kind of night masks feel, you know, when you put lip masks on and you have that feeling that it just stays on the lips and it stays really nourishing. So to achieve that, I've mixed together butters and oils, because often when you have like lip oils on their own, I personally find that they look nice when they go on and they kind of dry off, or the oil goes away and then my lips end up feeling a little bit dry. So starting off with the butter, it's a wild mango seed butter. And the reason I've chosen that is because it's high in saturated fatty acids and omegas. So it's got body, it's really nourishing, and you do feel that combined with the oils just helps the moisturizing qualities to stay on the lips. So I'm mixing this rich, nourishing butter with several oils: sunflower seed oil, acai berry oil, which is just a really good antioxidant, vitamin E oil, and coconut oil and fatty vitamin C. Lots of fatty things in there. You can tell I've had dry lips my whole life. And in terms of pigment levels and payoff, I'd say that it goes from medium through to high. Starting, I think the light medium, maybe I'd call the Go Lightly, and that's because it's the only one of the glosses that contains pearl. So that has the most beautiful golden and light pink pearl. So for that reason, it feels a little bit more transparent and it's definitely quite buildable. Then we've got Blush, Muse, Beauty and Ribbon, which are all medium, I'd say, pigment. Again, they're buildable, but they're definitely quite a medium to start with. If I had to say one of them is a little more sheer than the others, I'd say maybe Blush a tiny bit. And then at the opposite end of the spectrum, you've got Myth, which is definitely the most intensely and vibrantly pigmented of all the glosses. And that's simply because of the colour, really. So what I'm wearing right now is Enhance and Define Lip Pencil in Muse and Gloss Embrace in Muse. So I'm wearing the lip pencil and the gloss. Lip pencil over my lips and around the edge to create the shape. And then I've used the gloss on top. I'm going to take this off and show you how the gloss looks on its own as well. So that's one dip of Muse on me. Of course, if you have fuller lips, you might want to dip again, or indeed, if you just wanted to have like a tiny hint of shine, you could wipe it and use a little bit less. And it does have that really embracing, as in that cuddly feel on the lips. So they feel very nurtured. And when we were working on the formula, we wanted to have, and I was saying to everyone, I want it so that after 2 hours, you can still feel this treatment on your lips. And it was always like asking everyone, can you still feel it? How do your lips feel now? How does it feel now? Because I just didn't want it to have that kind of gloss where the gloss wears off and your lips feel dry like within an hour. So this feeling, this nurturing and nourishing feeling, it does last on the lips, which I personally love. This is how it looks on my skin tone. And if you go to my website, you'll see how it looks on lots of other skin tones. So I've removed Muse, but I still feel the moisturization, which I love. So next in the glosses is Go Lightly. And I think we all love this shade so much. We all know which shade it is in my vintage collection. And it was, I think, the fastest selling lipstick that I ever did. So I just thought it would be really beautiful as a gloss. I've changed it in that I've added a little bit of gold and rose pearl, just because with a gloss it works really well. So let's go lightly. The next lip gloss is Blush, and this matches the new True Velvet Blush. And this is the prettiest, most natural flushed lip, and it suits all skin tones. Just before I take blush off, I just want to say that the feeling of it is, it's definitely not sticky. It's more like a cushioning, treatmenty feel. It just feels very smooth and very smoothing. And my lips, which are amazingly dry at the moment, it's kind of disguised all of that. They are, because it's cold here at the moment. You can see that my lips look very smooth. I'm going to take it off. See how my lips really look. Now when I've taken off with a wipe, I can still feel the oils and butters on my lips. So the colour's gone, but the treatment has stayed there. Next gloss is Ribbon, and this is the classic Velvet Ribbon shade, Pure Red. I'm going to start by applying this with the front of the doe foot. So this is the kind of cushiony bit at the front. Then I'm going to switch it over, and at the back there's a little point. Which I can use to shape my lips. Now for Beauty. So this is our cool blue toned fresh pink. So that's Beauty. Last but not least in Gloss Embrace is Myth. And this, like Velvet Myth lipstick, is a wildly vivid mulberry shade. So if you like bright colours, and it has the same pigments as the lipstick, so it's pretty vibrant. I'm going to apply this in the same way. I'm going to turn it over. And that's the Uber Vibrant Myth. So on to my first new shade in the True Velvets, and this is Velvet Affair. So easy to use, full pigment coverage and creamy. And this is a beautiful soft caramel shade. Next brand new shade is Velvet Dragon. I'm going to use a brush just around the edge for this one because it is a red and I like to cheat my lips. And that's Velvet Dragon. So I'm going to have my pop art moment now with Velvet Carnival. And I think with this colour, I have to put a little bit of glitter on my eyelids. It would be rude not to. So that's Velvet Carnival. So before I apply the final new shade for this year in the True Velvets, which is Velvet Blush, I just want to introduce something really exciting, which are the 5 Fantasy Floral Lip Kits. And these are limited edition for this year. The bag, which I'm obsessed with, is designed by an artist I met on a shoot about 5 years ago. So this is not a fabric that I bought off the shelf. This is an original work of art which has been printed onto the bag. And the painting is by a mixed media artist called John Jacobson. So I met him on a shoot about 3 years ago. He's from Chile, but he was in London, living in London. And then he moved to Portugal, but I stayed in contact with him. And for these lip kits, I wanted a bag which was really special. So throughout the beginning of the lockdown, I contacted him and I said, would you do an illustration and a painting that I can print onto a bag? So I just feel that this is such a beautiful bag and it's such an original piece of art. So that's the bag. I'll link to John below in the under the YouTube film, because then you can have a look at his work on Instagram. And the thing that I liked about him was that I met him on a shoot and he spent nearly all of his time, although he was working with a photographer, he spent nearly all of his time in the makeup room because he was so into makeup and colour, and we really bonded on colour. Like, I never met anyone that was as obsessed with colour as I was until I met him. So I was like, I have to stay in touch with you. So I was so happy to be able to do a project with him, really. And that is the outcome. So within each of the 5 Fantasy Floral Lip Kits, there is a True Velvet lipstick, a Define and Enhance lip pencil. I'll talk a bit more about the pencils in a minute. And a matching gloss. So they're all in one shade. So there's the Fantasy Floral Blush Kit, the Fantasy Floral Beauty Kit. So for people who love the shade Beauty and would like it with a pencil and a gloss and a velvet. There's the Fantasy Floral Myth Kit, Fantasy Floral Ribbon Kit, and a Muse Lip Kit. And in each of the 5 lip kits, the products all come in their own boxes like that. And then the boxes are inside the bag. So before I show you all of those, I'm going to go right ahead and show you what blush looks like on the lips. I'm going to start by applying this shade as a stain because I love it as a stain. I tried my best to get all of Carnival off, but there's still a touch of colour there. So I'm just dabbing on top. It just gives that really healthy looking. It's kind of like a dirty berry, but because it's so muted, when it's applied as a stain, it's just so easy. Or you can apply it straight from the bullet and even use like a little fluffy brush. All of my velvets look great like that if you don't want to have that kind of precise edge. If you just use a fluffy eye brush and sort of blur the edges, because they have so much pigment in them, They're really good for blurring. Next, I'm going to use the blush lip pencil. I'm going to use it because I'm now going to put it on as a full color. So I'm going to use it just to really get a good shape around my lips. So the pencils are gels, and they are a mixture of resins, which means that when they set and they are 100% waterproof and smudge proof and everything. In fact, you're going to need a good cleanser to get them off. But they also have jojoba oil in them, so they're very soft and smooth to apply. When they first go on, they look a little bit lighter than the actual color because it takes a while. It dries down, and then the color is probably 1 or maybe 2 shades deeper than when you first put it on. So let me show you how soft they are. So even if you have the driest lips, they just glide on. There's no kind of dragging. Just get my shape. So I'm able to really overdraw quite a bit. So you can see now the lip liner's dried. It's a touch darker than when it first went on, and now it's completely set. I'm going to apply the blush True Velvet lipstick. That's it. And that's a really long-wearing, long-lasting lip. So next I'm going to apply the Muse lip liner. I'm going to apply it this time as all over my lips. Because they're soft enough to really blend all over. This one really does look light when it goes on, but it dries darker. Now I'm going to just really shape my lips. Just going to give that a second to set. Now the thing about these lip kits are there are 5 different colorways, and the lip pencils at the moment I'm only making them for the lip kit. So there are only 5 lip pencils which come as part of the lip kit. So one being Muse, one is Myth, one is Ribbon, one is one of the new shades Blush, and the other one is Beauty. I know that for people might be frustrated with all of the other shades that I have, but I just haven't made any lip pencils for them yet. That's not to say I'm not going to do it, but at the moment they're just available as kits. And you can really just play with those kits, you know, explore different textures, different finishes. You could do what I'm doing, which is just wear the pencil all over with a little bit of the gloss on top, which looks really nice. Or you could just wear the gloss on its own, either very lightly or more in a lacquered way if you add more. Then you can use your velvet lipstick just either as a stain or fully kind of, you know, va-va-voom. Or you can use obviously your pencil with your velvet lipstick. Or you could even use all of it. So you could use the pencil, the velvet lipstick and the gloss on top if you wanted to go like everything. I'm just going to do the Muse now on top of this. I'm just going to do a touch at the center. And then just pat. One hand there. So that's a really nice way to play in the kit, just with pencil and then a touch of gloss. And if you were wearing a mask but you still want to wear the gloss, you can just very lightly use a tissue. I don't have one at the moment, but just very lightly use a tissue. You keep all of the treatment and you keep like a slight sheen, but you can then put your mask on as well. When you first get your lip liner, you'll probably find that the lid is incredibly hard to get off. So you might think it's never going to come off, but it's because it's been sort of vacuum packed, because it needs to stay airtight. So there's a very well-fitting cap on each lip. So that will be really tightly fitted. It's also nice because you know that no one's touched it. So it's going to take a little bit of effort to get it off the first time, but after that it's fine. But then every time you use it, you need to put the lid back on. Otherwise the oils will just evaporate and escape. So if that does happen, you can just sharpen it down to get to a fresh bit. But ideally, I would say keep the cap handy and keep the cap on. It's a really good fit. It's quite a tight fit. For that reason. And to sharpen it, you can sharpen with a metal sharpener, which I tend to use just because I like them really pointy, but you can also use a plastic one as well if you want to. It's not quite as sharp in the point, but it still works just as well. For every order, I've made you a really cute little present. So you're going to get this free gift in your order while stocks last. And these are velvet lip stickers, and they're really plush velvet, and if you can see it on camera. So you've got velvet ribbon, velvet myth, and velvet carnival. So I just quickly stuck some on my phone so you can see they're really good fun. So that's all of the new shades, the new textures, and the new products covered. Everything is cruelty free as per usual. The next thing I want to mention is that there are also 2 new pouches, makeup pouches. There is obviously the Fantasy Florals pouch, and there's also a deep plush emerald green pouch and a midnight blue pouch. Now within the collections, I have the ones that I have put together myself, some that we had last year that they were just so popular and everyone wanted them back, and then a couple of new ones that I've curated. So we have the soft velvet collection, which was so popular last year and it sold out so quickly, so I've restocked that one. This year, that is in the emerald green pouch. I'm just reading here because I don't want to get anything wrong. We also have the blue velvet collection, which also was really popular from last year, and that's in the midnight blue velvet, obviously, pouch. There's the true velvet collection, which are the 3 reds, and again, that's in the red velvet pouch. So I've restocked that this year because it was, again, so popular. And then I've done 2 collections myself, although you are going to be able to curate and create your own collections this year as well, which I'll get to in a second. So there's the Velvet Roses collection, which is 3 velvet lipsticks. It's Beauty, Carnival, and Blush. And that comes in the midnight blue velvet pouch. And then there is the Velvet Romance collection, and that's Affair, Muse, and Blush, and that is in the deep emerald green pouch. This is all on the website. Everything is really well organized. I've really updated and upgraded my website this year, and one of the things that I was able to do based on all of the feedback from last year was that although people liked some of the kits that I'd put together, they wanted to create their own. They wanted to choose their own lipsticks and to really make their own trio. So this year you can create your own trio. You can choose any of the velvet lipsticks and from any of the gloss embraces. So if you want to, you could have 3 lipsticks, or you could have 2 lipsticks and 1 gloss. Or you can have 1 lipstick and 2 glosses, or you can have 3 lip glosses, and there's a drop down menu, and then you can choose whichever pouch you like. So, and while stocks last, obviously we have no idea which is going to be the most popular pouch, but while stocks last, you can choose which makeup pouch you would prefer. And all of the other information is on the website. So all of the shades I've used and demonstrated today are shown on several different skin tones, so you're able to see how the colours look and perform. And there are also some swatches and lots of different ways to see the colours, so you can really go there, and it's very informative. And I do pride myself on good customer service. We have a great team. I know all of them. We talk to each other. If you have an issue, a problem, everything is on. If it's not on the site, which has, lots of information about shipping and all kinds of stuff, but if there's anything that you're unsure about or you want to talk to us about, then please do contact, because we are keen and we are waiting to help you in any way we can. We want this to be absolutely seamless for you, and we want you to receive anything that you order in perfect condition and to really enjoy it and have the best experience ever. So that's it. That's my collection for this year, and I hope that you are going to absolutely love them. I'm so happy with everything. The glosses, the velvets coming back, and the new shades, the lip pencils and the pouches, which I think you will agree when you get your hands on these pouches. They are so well made and so beautiful. So let me know in the comments what you think, and I am so excited to see you wearing the colours. So if you do buy any of the shades, please, please, please tag me, hashtag Lisa Eldridge Makeup, because I take so much joy and pleasure seeing all of you wearing the different products and the different shades. So take care, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon.